Welcome to the Daily Dish with New York Times bestselling author Leanne Ely. Putting vibrancy back into your everyday life and feeding your heart, mind, body, and soul. Join us every day at 1 p.m. Eastern for Motivational Monday, Tuesday's Tip, Wise Woman's Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Food Fight Friday, and of course Q&A, where no question is off limits, and Soulful Saturday. Here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
Hello, everyone. It's FriYAY. I'm so glad you're here. I see Vanessa first thing. Marianne, Jocelyn, so good to have you on all aboard. Are you ready for September? I know it's been here a couple of days. It's September. It's September. And you know what that means? We're hot milk 30ing. And we are already having a blast with this thing. And you know what I love is seeing everybody's enthusiasm and excitement getting on board. It's not too late. I'm going to just say it's not too late. Check it out at savingdinner.com/30. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Lizzie. There's my girls. They're all hashtagging. Look at that. Lisa's in the house. Doris is in the house as well. Good to see you. Kathy's hashtagging. Did you see that? That's how it works. Martha is here too. Yeah, when we hashtag 30, when you see people saying Hot Milk 30 hashtag, that's part of our Hot Milk 30 challenge. There are little things that we have to do every day. And you know, the whole idea behind this is not to pile on and make it harder, but to show you just what you're made out of. Because I think we too often think we can't do a lot of these things because they're too hard or it's too difficult or you don't have time. And I say nonsense. We do have time. We just haven't put our priorities together appropriately sometime. So I hope that helps you to understand a little bit about what this is about. Hi, Susan. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Marguerite. Shauna's in the house. All of our Hot Milk 30 gals, I know, are just going to be hopping on any minute. So when you see that hashtag Hot Milk 30, that's what we're talking about. Right, Cheryl? She knows about it. Right there. Lizzie just did it. You can find out about it at savingdinner.com/30. We have a lot of people who are just jumping on right now, and that's fine. You know, wouldn't you rather have 27 days or even 25 days rather than no days? Hey, I'm just saying. I'm here for your entertainment. All right, we have a lot of other things coming up. One of the things, too, that I want to make sure that you know about is our quercetin. This is an amazing antioxidant, really is what it is at the end of the day. It helps to pump up your immune system, lights up your vitamin C. It's about bioflavonoid. It's absolutely critical and amazing. The other thing that I like about it is that it really helps, believe it or not, all of these things, when we are leveling up our nutrition levels, we automatically start taking care of any inflammation. We start taking care of metabolic function. We start taking care of these things. When we're supporting our bodies, that's exactly what quercetin does. When you buy 3, you can get 1 free, and you can find it at savingdinner.com/show. That's where we always put them. Yeah? And today, of course, is Q&A. Aren't you excited about that? Q&A. If you want a question answered next week, just send it in to support@savingdinner.com. Question for Leanne on Friday. I will answer it. Promise. Promise I will do that. Won't I? Hi, Corliss. Good to see you. Juanita's in the house. Here's our quote of the week. What you capture becomes cemented, from our friend Robin Sharma. Smart man. He's true. It's really true. What you capture becomes cemented, meaning that you've captured it, you've thought of it, and now you own it. That gets it cemented. Isn't that the truth? Have you noticed this in your own life, that once you go, aha, I get it, then it's yours. You start taking responsibility for it, and you start to change things up a little bit. So I really like that. I think that's sheer brilliance right there. So that's what I think. What else should I tell you about? I think that's it. Tomorrow, of course, is Soulful Saturday, and you'll want to be here because we're going to wrap up the whole series that we've done this week on differentiating between pros and amateurs, which sounds a little bit tough, doesn't it? It sounds a little rough around the edges. Sounds like it's us versus them. But really, there are pro moves that we can start making happen. Seriously, we can start making pro moves happen once we understand that there's a difference. Don't you love that? For me, that's just absolutely everything. Really helps with all the things and lining everything up in a row. Margaret's in the house. The other thing is, I can't even believe I'm saying this. A week from tomorrow is full bloom. Can you believe it's already here? I just got a text message from a gal who lives here in my neighborhood, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sad that, because she was going to come to our in-person event." So Jody, anyway, hopefully she'll come. She will come anyway on the virtually, because I'm not really hanging out with a whole lot of people right now. Just our little area is on fire. Our little neighborhood is on fire. That's what happens. There's Scrub Bud. I love that. Hi there. I don't know who you are, Scrub Bud, but I know you're someone that is hot melt 30, and thank you so much for being here. Lucy's in the house. Hello, Lucy. Jennifer, hi. Glad you're here. We've got some really good questions this week, and it's interesting. You know what I've noticed? That our questions somehow dovetail into each other and become themes. Who knew? So we're going to kind of go through all those in just a minute. But if you want to, back I go again. Hi, Helen, Angie. If you marry Francis, you are trying to, now I know forever and ever, I'm going to always say that's, oh, there's Mary Francis, Scrub Bud. Hi, Patsy. So anyway, what I want to say is, if you're not signed up yet for Full Bloom, go take a look at the page. Just look at the page and pray about it. Pray about it. Let the spirit move you, so to speak. SavingDater.com/bloom is where you're going to find all the information about our event. And I can't even say it. Swag bags are on their way out today. We've got the first batch going out today. So I'm super excited about the swag bags. There will be a follow-up email that you'll be getting that will explain some office supplies that you need to probably already have in your house, pull together so that you can put something very cool together. How do you like that? Hi, Anne. Yeah, it's going to be that great. And this is important to me. Can I just tell you one thing that's really important to me? Any conference that I've ever gone to, I have everything that any conference I've ever gone to, because I go back through it again and revisit, because there's always, something else that we can get from it. The other thing that I love, though, about Full Bloom is not only are you going to have your, materials that you can be taking notes with and everything, you're also going to have the conference itself that you can watch on demand. And if you're smart, if there's something that you say, yeah, I want to go back and listen to this again, you can put a timestamp on what it is as you're taking notes, as you're watching, to go back and revisit that little section. That's how we learn. We learn from repetition. We learn from making sure that we are regurgitating the material that we learn. And speaking of which, the book is coming out, y'all. The book is out a week from this Saturday. Getting Off the Carousel of Crazy. I am so proud of this book. And, I sat on it for a long, long time, waiting, thinking I needed to add other things. And you know what was getting in the way? I finally decided, it is excellent the way it is. And now we're just going to go into this place of just allowing for it to be the way it is. And if there's follow-up that needs to be done, we'll follow up. That's how that works. So anyway, I'm excited. Keep your eyes peeled. You will see it here first. Hi, Lynn. Good to see you. You are going to love the new book. And I will tell you, Amber absolutely knocked herself out. The cover art is beautiful. We did a workbook to go along with it because me, I love reading all the research that shows how do we learn best? Well, repetition is one of the things, and also regurgitating all that information really helps. So it's a needle mover. I can't wait. So anyway, that's all. I'm just going to leave it right there. We'll come back and revisit it when it's here. And when it gets here, you better believe it's going to be show and tell time. I'm going to show it to you. And I'll tell you some other stuff about it. Anyway, are you ready for some questions? I've got some pretty good answers, I think. Well, let's see what you think. We've got the first one from Jessica Orchard. She said, why did Leanne go paleo? Well, I wrote a book in 2014 called Part-Time Paleo, How to Go Paleo Without Going Crazy. And my journey to go paleo, so to speak, was just basically a wake-up call that I had 3 nodules on my thyroid. I had diagnosed in the early 2000s, I'm going to say 2002, I think it was, with a thyroid disorder because I had gained 20 pounds or 30 pounds. I don't even remember exactly, but it was 30 pounds in 3 months, 10 pounds a month. And I was just like, what's going on here? I went to see my doctor, and I had a woman doctor. I will never forget this as long as I live. And she said, and I said, I have a trainer. I'm working out. I'm doing all the things. I'm eating the right food. And she said, are you sure you're not just getting a little extra pizza there? That's what she said. And I said, well, why don't you check my thyroid? Maybe it's my thyroid. She said, everyone says that. That's what she said. She did check my thyroid, and it was way out of control. And that's when I was first diagnosed with a thyroid condition. Well, I was treated. I knew enough that I didn't want to have a synthetic hormone for it. I wanted to have a bioidentical. So I started with, why am I not thinking? Armor was what I started with. And that was fine. It did okay for a while. And then I started getting symptomatic again. And you're symptomatic when you start to lose the hair on parts of your eyebrows. Your throat feels a little swollen, maybe even a little bit of a sore throat, and you don't feel good. And I had well, you can see, I've always had very high cheekbones. They disappeared, and I had this just big round moon face, which is also part of the whole problem with having a thyroid condition. So as this thyroid condition came back up, I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do about this now? Now, in between all of that, when it just kind of gradually happened like that, and the weight gain started right back up again, and I was just kind of at wit's end with what was going on. And, the diagnosis and everything was super helpful, but I still had other things going on. I had plantar fasciitis. Rosacea was just around the corner. And I was also diagnosed with these 3 huge nodules on my thyroid. And I had to go to an eye, throat, neck, or whatever, ear, throat, neck, whatever the guy is, specialist to have biopsies done. So they have this needle, and I'm not kidding you. It's about this long. It looks like a turkey baster with a huge needle on it. And they just come right at your neck. There's nothing, they don't numb you up, nothing. They just go right at it. It's like big pressure and big pain. So boom, all three. Well, at that point, I was just, and I remember afterwards just shaking, the fear factor and just how scared and how creepy it was. Ear, nose, and throat. Thank you. I know it has all kinds of body parts. But by the way, and if you ever have somebody say, listen, we need to do biopsies on if you have nodules in your throat, you want to see an ENT specialist who does this all the time. And you want to ask the guy who's doing your biopsies, how many of these do you do a week? Because I found out later, and it was just by sheer luck, that had I gone with a radiologist, they do maybe 1 or 2 a week. And a lot of times they come back inconclusive. And that's when they start pulling out your thyroid, right? Inconclusive. And I asked my doctor, and I said, I have so many, and I was also, as a patient, I was asking, and also as a nutritionist, as somebody who seen this a lot, had somebody ask, they said to me, asked me, well, what do you think of inconclusive thyroid, things? And I said, why would they be inconclusive? And I asked the doctor that, and he said, it's because they missed. And he said, I'll be very plain with you. Most radiologists don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to hit it. It's very difficult. He says, I do about 8 or 9 of these a day. Big difference. You get better the more you do, right? And that was the whole big deal. They do these biopsies, by the way, to make sure that it's just a benign whatever, or to make sure that it's not cancer. And I remember just feeling my throat was just felt awful at the time. So all of this was happening. The rosacea at that point, when I got the biopsy, at that point, the rosacea was just starting all up. And I was just over the plantar fasciitis. I had lost some weight, but it was starting to gain again. And I was just feeling rotten all the time. No energy. And it was at that point with the biopsies that I said, something's got to give, because I just keep going back and forth on this, the weight gain, the weight, like I'm on and I'm off. I'm on and I'm off. I got it under control. No, I don't. And you know what the thing was? I started with plain and simple as a nutritionist, it's diet. Let's start with diet. What can start? Oh, and the other thing was, I started seeing my friend Alan Christensen, who's a thyroid specialist, and he says, you know, you have Hashimoto's. I said, no, nobody ever told me that. And when I asked my doctor, the same female doctor, by the way, and she said, well, so what if it's Hashimoto's? We treat it all the same anyway, don't we? And that was like, I was like, you're a doctor? You know, really? You're going to say that? No, we don't, because hypothyroidism is a different thing than an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease means that you're getting attacked, your thyroid is getting attacked. It doesn't have hypothyroidism, just means that you're just pumping out too much thyroid stimulating hormone. That's it. They're not attacked. Your thyroid's not being attacked. So autoimmune diseases, in my opinion, and I actually expressed this one time to Terry Walls, and she said, right on, I believe, you know, I'm with you, that an autoimmune disease is pretty much, this is my opinion, the same disease. It just decides to attack whatever it's going to attack, because you're under attack when you have an autoimmune disease. Okay. That's a big difference. It's a big differentiator. So with an autoimmune disease, what did I need to do? I needed to get my gut in order. I needed, because if you have an autoimmune disease, 99.99999% of those who do have leaky gut. Most of us do anyway, but this is one of the factors. Your diet is going to impact that leaky gut, so that's got to get in order. My stress needed to come into, under control, because I was just out there all over the place. And my exercise was too hard, believe it or not. I needed to lose the weight. I needed to also just really start hydrating correctly, taking care of myself, getting the sleep, and getting self-care, and putting myself in first position for a change. So yes, I went paleo because of all of that, but I also did all these other things. That's how I got to the place of finally having wellness again. And so while I started with an ultrasound, finding those 3 nodules, I ended with an ultrasound showing that those nodules had all gone away. And it was all because the work that I did going paleo, getting rid of grains. They weren't doing me any favors. Lectins are in grains. Lectins can cause leaky gut. And for me, being super sensitive, having an autoimmune disease, it was critical to take those out. It was also, I had a waistline that was bigger than 35 inches. So that had to go, because I just was simply not tolerating carbs. I was not insulin sensitive. I needed to change everything. Got rid of the dairy, cleared up the rosacea. Also cleared up the joint pain too, because I had joint pain. Everything was just wrong. I mean, I could just tell you, I was losing hair. Hair was coming out by the handfuls. Now, beauty support, I believe. So I'll show you right here. You see, that's gray right there. But that's all hair that has grown from beauty support and taking our perfect paleo protein. But I was losing my hairline too. My hairline was going way back like this. That's exactly how my dad's was. I was thinking, I'm going to look like my dad here soon, But there were so many things that I did, and I looked at this whole thing with completely different eyes. And in Part-Time Paleo, explain, this is why I went paleo, and these are the things that I did. It wasn't just one thing. It was a bunch of different things. Foundationally, always, though, is the food. And when we take out all the inflammatory foods like dairy and grains can be inflammatory. They can also not be inflammatory, by the way, with this much of a population. But most of us, we know that. And also the insulin sensitivity came back. My waist became less than 35 inches, and I started to become the woman that I have always been, just wasn't suppressed by this autoimmune disease anymore. And in 2017, Dr. Christensen said, you are no longer in you no longer have an autoimmune disease. Let's call it remission. So that's why I went paleo. And that's why I do it now. Now, I do not do it perfectly. I do it excellently. I will dip my toe every once in a while in the cheese, and I always do an aged cheese. And it's also never during a sprint. It's a couple of times with whatever. And those are the different things. But I have food rules that I stand by and go by. I'm also a food addict, so I have to be extra cautious. And that's why I went paleo. That's the long story, Jessica. And it was, my life changed because of that. It was just easy to do. And you learned all kinds of stuff. Elaine, yeah, you can buy Part-Time Paleo on Amazon. It's on Amazon. And I'm working on getting my rights back to the book. It doesn't sell like it used to. And publishers, oftentimes if you have your agent, I asked my agent to get the rights back to that book, because if they're not going to be printing anymore, I want the rights. And we will start printing it, and it will be available. And I'll probably update it. So I'm looking forward to that. This is from Lindsay. What do you recommend for high blood pressure? My grandmother is in her mid-80s and has high blood pressure and nerve pain. The doctor would like to put her on blood pressure medication, but I would prefer to help her naturally. Okay. Well, first of all, Lindsay, I love that you are invested in your grandma, and I think that's phenomenal. But doctors make the choices, not us. Just keep that in mind. So if her doctor is willing to let her do this, to do things naturally at first, then hooray. If not, we can't interfere with our doctors and especially at 85 years old, we don't interfere with this kind of thing because it could be a fatal decision, okay? I have to say that and just preface everything with that. So that said, how high is her blood pressure medicine? And how much time has your doctor given you to bring it down naturally? And is obesity an issue there? Does she have cofactors like any kind of chronic disease? And there's all kinds of things there that you have to take a look at. So that all said, I mean, it's like sleep apnea, diabetes, kidney disease, those things all, play into this. Also medications, there could be kind of a contraindication with medications that happen. It's all super dependent on what's the total picture and what's going on. You can't just look at one thing. You have to look at all the things. That said, did you know 85% of people with blood pressure are merely dehydrated? I will say that again. 85% of people who are diagnosed with blood pressure issues and high blood pressure are dehydrated. What happens, there's a chemical in your body called vasopressin. So as the blood gets thicker, which it does if it's dehydrated, then vasopressin is released to make your blood pressure go up so it pumps better. Because there's less blood, it's thicker blood, and the vasopressin helps it to go, but it also shoots your blood pressure up. So hydration is first on the list, and you've got to do the math on this. And the hydration equation is weight divided by 2 equals the ounces that she needs to have per day, less anything that she's drinking normally, like a smoothie, coffee, tea, whatever. And that's how you know the equation for all of that. So if she weighs 150 pounds, she needs 75 ounces of hydration per day. And that means that she'll take out, if she has 2 cups of coffee, she's going to take 16 ounces away from that. If she has a bowl of soup, she'll take 8 ounces from that. And you keep subtracting the ounces that she's had, and that all adds to the hydration equation. A lot of people will all say, and I always get every single time that I say this, they always say, well, I heard that caffeine, caffeinated beverage is a diuretic. Yeah, it's a diuretic. You're right. So very slightly. It's more hydration than it is diuretic. And that's what the new research tells us. And that's why I give that to you. Regular exercise helps. Just walking will bring down blood pressure. As I recall, Norma, who is in the sprint group, Well, she walks every day. She posts every day. I mean, she's like the queen of Hot Melt 30, and she's not doing Hot Melt 30, which I think is so funny. And here's the thing that is interesting. She shared how she brought her blood pressure down. She shared, and she's lost some weight too, and all of that. All of that makes a difference. Blood pressure comes down, all of this stuff comes down, and you start to feel better. She is right on the cusp of high, and he recommended we monitor it for the next few months and see if we can lower it. That's fantastic. See, when you can work with a doctor like that, that's great. But if your doctor says, nope, this is really concerning, you got to listen to that. Blood pressure, too high blood pressure could not kill you. So we have to, we don't want to be quick to go on medications, but on the same time, we also don't want to be quick to not go on medications. Over the age of 65, your blood pressure goes up a little bit higher normally. That's just part and parcel. And still, we want to bring it down and we want to optimize, right? The other thing that you want to do is watch the salt. Now, when I say watch the salt in what? Processed foods, because that's where they're just oversalt everything. There's like 1,800 milligrams in a can of one serving of canned soup. That's disgusting. So think about it this way. If we eat according to the way that we talk about in Hot Melt all the time, which is just whole food, here you go, chop up that zucchini, there's your broccoli, here's your chicken. None of that has salt. I mean, it has a little bit of natural occurring salt, but if you add a little bit of salt, and I'm talking a good product like pink Himalayan salt, you're not going to be causing all kinds of blood pressure issues because of that. Now, if you open a can of soup, there you go. Do you see the difference? Processed foods is the problem, not salt itself, not a good, healthy salt. It's absolutely important for heart health, by the way. We have to have salt in our diet. So going salt-free is ridiculous. We don't need that. What we need to do is walk away from processed foods, walk away from processed salt. That little stuff, the little Morton salt that you see, the little girl with the yellow umbrella, read the ingredients. It's not just salt. They put chemicals in there, including glucose. You don't want that. We want salt that's going to, when it goes into water, that's just going to fall apart. You don't want it just sitting there hard on the bottom of the glass. There you go. Hot melt mix is good. I would also, if she doesn't have any kind of kidney disease or diabetes or anything like that, I would add a little bit of light salt to that, okay? A little bit of light salt. Now, I think Morton makes it, as a matter of fact. It's the only product of theirs I think I'm going to recommend, but it's called light salt. It's in a light blue thing, and that's where you have the potassium. We purposely did not put potassium in our hot melt mix. And the reason why, I have a lot of women in my world that have kidney disease and diabetes, and I don't want to cause any problems. Too much potassium is too much potassium. You can add it in as long as you don't have that. Marguerite said, I've done all of the above and I'm off blood pressure medication. I rest my case, Your Honor. It makes all the difference. And Marguerite's a walker, and Marguerite follows our plan, and Marguerite, she's on it, on it, on it. Well, look at who just popped in. Hi, Rosemary. It's so good to see you. So do you see how all that works? What you were looking at is hot melt mix has the different minerals in it. It helps to manage and to balance our blood and the way that we operate. It is everything. And I really want you to understand that one of the things that we are all mineral deficient. 85% of us, I know I just said that as far as dehydration is concerned for blood pressure, but 85% of the population is also magnesium deficient. And you're going to find that in hot melt mix. Hot melt mix hydrates, keeps you in ketosis, and is also going to help, will help to bring that blood pressure down if you're hydrating correctly and if it's consistent. You can't do it one day and say, well, that didn't work. You have to consistently do all these things. It makes a humongous difference, okay? If you're a big smoker, drinking a lot of booze and all of that, that's going to raise your blood pressure because your body is putting your body into an inflammatory state. And inflammation raises blood pressure as well. Caffeine, you could be caffeine sensitive. Remember, there's two different types of metabolizers when it comes to coffee or tea, even any kind of caffeine. It's either you may be a fast metabolizer or a slow metabolizer. If you're a slow metabolizer, you don't want to go any more than 2 cups of coffee a day or tea a day, because that means your body holds on to the caffeine, doesn't metabolize it fast. If you're a faster metabolizer, it's a big different thing. You'll know if you stay up at night. You'll also know if you can tell that you've had too much caffeine and feel kind of jittery and weird. That's just our body saying, this is how I metabolize it. So you'll know. Just pay attention to what's going on. The last one, of course, is 100% hydration. I'm going to say it again because hydration is everything. If you don't have your hydration dialed in, not only is your skin going to look terrible, not only is it going to put extra burden on your liver because your kidneys are now, not getting what they need to do. It's going to just make your whole body work harder, make it all work harder. Your digestion isn't as good. Everything suffers, even your brain. Do you know that you don't even think as well as you would because your brain is dehydrated? There's it's all connected to everything, and you will not lose weight either. Not if you don't have enough hydration. Keep that in mind. And remember, hydration also is electrolytes and fiber. Those two things together with all the liquid that we're talking about make all the difference in the world, because fiber plus electrolytes help to drive the hydration into the cell. Okay, really important stuff. This is from Jerry. Are you still planning on doing a webinar on thyroid? Yes. This is from Marianne. No, I'm just thanks, Diane. Jerry, I so appreciate it. We are definitely going to do one on thyroid. I need the time to write it after I've researched it some more. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I can give you off the top of my head, but I don't feel like that's a good webinar. I feel like the best webinars and the best teaching that I can possibly give you is looking and doing a deep dive into the newest research to see what's out there. That's really important. Plus, I'll probably read a couple of more books. I will probably call my friend Alan and ask him a question or two. And like, what have you found? What's the new thing that you found? What have you seen? All of that. It's happening. It's just not going to happen. Definitely not happening this month. Later this month, we're going to do a whole thing on leaky gut, because I've got stacks of stuff that I'm looking at leaky gut. Leaky gut is very much connected to thyroid issues. So that's going to be super helpful. You're welcome, Lindsay. Hi, Diane. Where are you? Oh, we're remixing that, Diane. So just stay tuned to that. We'll take care of it for you. Hi, Carol. I'm glad to see you. Got the pills, but working and not having to take them. Well, good for you. As long as you're working with your doctor, can I just say this? I believe that if we advocate for ourselves and understand that MD does not stand for medical deity, and work with a doctor who is wanting to work with you, you're inviting a doctor into your world, not to rule you, but to advise you and to help you along the way. It's a team effort. And when you present him or her with information, say, well, what about this? You don't want them rolling their eyes, say, oh, you went to the College of Google or whatever. You want them to come alongside and say, oh, interesting study. I didn't know that. I've had a number of doctors do that. And a number of doctors who said, okay, let's try that. Let's do this. That's interesting. I never knew that. I just had that happen when I had my blood test done just recently. And I said, hey, because my antibodies are down into 90 when I started with 1,000. She said, that's a little concerning. I said, honey, they used to be like 6,000. And I said, but what I would like to do is this. What do you think of this? And she said, I never knew that you could use that for this. And there we are. I said, oh yeah. It's super effective, and I've done it before, and I would really like to do, boom, clear the decks. Clear the decks. Make all those antibodies. The only thing that was sticking out on my blood test, everything else was perfect, right? Optimal. Only thing sticking out, and it was, I'm ready for that to be gone. But that's what you want. You want a doctor who says, yeah, let's work on that together. Let's see what we can do. Let me give you a couple of months. Go do these things. I support you in your lifestyle changes. Yeah, you get a doctor like that, don't let go of them. And if you don't have a doctor like that, fire him, her, get a new one. You can, you know. I love this, Carol. You've got a good doctor. Elaine's got a good doctor. And Marguerite's doctor said, my doctor said, we're a team from the beginning. There you go. That's what you want. That's what we all want. Okay, this is from Marianne. Marianne's here. I just saw her a minute ago. There she is. She says, is rendered nitrate-free bacon fat an acceptable cooking fat to use on occasion? Absolutely. And isn't it so delicious? I will take a little, we keep our bacon fat in a little container in the refrigerator, and every once in a while I'll say, this just needs a little something. There we go. Just a tip, just a tiny. You don't need a whole lot. Yes, it is. I would think, you know, back in the olden days, I remember my neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Waters. I'll never forget them as long as I live. They were the loveliest people. They were our next door neighbors when I grew up on Sunset Drive in Whittier, California. And she had a coffee can filled with bacon fat. And she just cooked, everything just got cooked with bacon. Oh, the whole house always smelled like bacon. Don't do that. Don't do that. And keep it, once it's cooked, do keep it in the refrigerator, just cause. Okay, that's one I have to say. She said, am I doing harm rather than helping my body by daily intermittent fasting? I'm postmenopausal and been in the habit of intermittently fasting for 3 years and occasionally dirty fast. I've shed 80 pounds and have another 35 to 40 to go. I definitely want to get in the state of autophagy to clean up excess skin. In the Hot Melt 30 guide, you say it's important not to do this daily, as a lot of women, this could throw their sexual hormones out of balance. Will you please elaborate on this? I will. So I will say this right now, that everybody should be doing at least 12 hours every day. The reason why is that our bodies need a break. So if you go from, you know, snacking up snacking like a crazy lady after dinner, popcorn, ice cream, and all that, and then you know, roll into bed around 11 o'clock or whatever on this full belly, your body is going to be digesting, not healing, not taking care of business. You need to have a nice window of time. You need 12 hours. So while that's technically is intermittent fasting, it's just, it's intermittent fasting. It's just what's normal. It's how it should be. We shouldn't be snacking. We don't need to snack. We have this notion that we'll pass out or we'll be so hungry that we can't, and this, that, and the other thing. Nobody ever died from hunger. There's very, very few people on this planet that have any kind of a medical condition or any kind of a thing where they need to be eating on a constant basis. And I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying it's not often, okay? So if that's you, and if I'm explaining and you're saying, oh no, that's me, I have this condition, my doctor said, fine. But you are 1 out of 100 that don't. We just have this fear of being hungry so much that we don't allow for hunger. And it's one of the reasons why our hunger hormones are so out of whack. We're constantly feeding ourselves and never giving our insulin a chance to just take a chill pill and take a seat. Insulin surges and goes as the minute you put something in your lips, the minute you eat something. And insulin is the fat storing hormone. Insulin goes into each one of your cells as you eat, but not if you're surrounded with insulin and you're floating in insulin and it has nowhere to go. And it can't even get into your cells anymore. You're bloated with insulin, but you can't even get it into your cells anymore. And this is why, if you're a diabetic, you need insulin shots, even though you're full of insulin. See? It breaks your insulin pump, kind of, so to speak. It breaks your pancreas, so to speak. So what we have to do then is we have to look at intermittent fasting, first and foremost, is our friend, because it helps us to get our hunger hormones back in line. We start to feel hungry again. We start to know when to stop eating. We start to feel in control of what's going on with our food. But we can't do that if we're constantly snacking, because we'll never know hunger. We'll never feel it again. We'll just be constantly nibbling and eating. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Just like little baby cows out in the pasture, eating, eating, eating. And we don't have rumens, y'all. We don't. We're women, not little cows. So it doesn't work for us at all. And that's what breaks our hunger hormones right there. It breaks them up and it makes us confused and we don't know what to do next. Seriously. However, when we get rid of the snack habit, that's step 1, and we have 12 hours of fasting, that is step 2. We're just doing what is I consider to be what should be normal behavior. Then the next part is waiting till you're hungry and maybe going 16 to 18 hours. That means you may skip breakfast, which, believe me, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. That was a Kellogg's marketing ploy in 1920s, and it's still held with us and has become sort of this urban myth that this is the most important meal of the day. It is not. A lot of times what that does is it sets you up to want to be eating all day. I know that for a fact because I've done it myself. When we listen and hear our bodies say, hey, I'm hungry, it's time to eat, that's when we eat. Now today, I've already eaten and I ate at 10 o'clock this morning. I was hungry. But yesterday, it wasn't till 3 o'clock. Go figure. Listen to those hunger hormones. They're going to tell you what's what. And it helps because it puts your body back into balance. So when it comes to, you don't want to do the same thing every day. And as far as your sexual hormones out of balance, especially, this is for women, especially who are menstruating or perimenopausal, it's a different thing entirely. And it's also, we're talking about longer fasts and doing like 18, 20, 36-hour fasts daily. There is a great contingent of people out there following Jason Fung, MD's, a nephrologist, great respect for him, following his guidelines, and they're fasting a lot during the week. And then they find themselves with weird periods and sexual hormones all over the place and what have you. That's why this is a very customized thing to do. And the fact that you have lost 80 pounds, Marianne, is pretty impressive and sounds to me like you've been doing it right. Now, as far as the, autophagy to clean up the excess skin, autophagy kicks in for most people. Now, it just depends on where you are. If you're normally staying low carb and even keto-ish, shall we say, or at least hot milk sprinty, if you're staying in that window, then you are already in ketosis. Now, understand something. Even if you've never put another carb into your mouth, you're still going to go in and out of ketosis because that's just what your body does. So if you're all about the numbers and peeing on sticks and see your numbers go up and you go, blah, what's wrong? It's your body. Stress can make your ketones go up. Did you know that? And kick you out of ketosis. So we have these very intricate balances going on all the time, and all of us do in our bodies. And everything is affected by everything. So we never stay just in a static place of just, oh, well, I'm hot milk sprinting, so I just got into this place of ketosis and I'm just staying there. No, you got into ketosis, you're staying there. Oh, you're out. Oop, back. There you're back. You're out, you're back. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, you cheated or, oh, you ate something or, oh, whatever. It just means that there was a little stress. Even exercise can have an impact. Even not enough water can have an impact. Can you believe that? Isn't that weird? But our bodies are very smart and they're balancing. And so what we're putting in, they're balancing what we're putting in. So we have to allow for that. And this is why I don't measure. This is why I don't, and when I say measure, I'm not getting out a scale and saying, okay, there's 4 ounces of chicken breast. I don't do that. This is why I don't count calories or points or pee on sticks or any of that. I allow for people who want to do that. But for me, at this place, I feel like intuitive eating is where it's at because I want my life to be more important than this. This is what I found. Because that's how I got off the carousel of crazy is I made peace with where I was right now. With this is what I'm going to eat. This is what I'm not going to eat. This is what makes me feel better. This is what fuels my life. I'm not measuring. I'm not counting. I'm eating until I'm satisfied, not full. I'm eating when I'm hungry. I don't eat for entertainment. I've got other things to do that are entertaining. Do you see what I'm saying? But for autophagy, that's when you got to get down to business. For autophagy to really kick in, and again, it kicks in somewhere at 16, 17, 18 hours for most, and for you, I would say probably. What you need to do is make sure that you're taking some extended fasts, because that then you could take that autophagy to the next level. Now they say, if you've read the obesity code, I believe it's in there, that if you are doing autophagy at about 36 hours, you're done. Baked, cooked, stamp it, shut it down, put a fork in it, boom, you're done. That's what they say. So that would be something that maybe you want to throw in once a week. I would do it if you have any kind of medical issues, if you have any kind of whatever. I would do it with a supervision of a doctor who understood and understands how to do this. And that's just plain and simple. But this is also very much personalized and very much customized according to what's right for your body. And autophagy is wonderful, but remember, what we're looking at is that metabolic cleanup and then the rebuild. Get out your beauty support. Get out your perfect paleo protein and your bone broth. And this is why we're doing Hot Melt 30. We're getting in collagen 3 times a day. Beauty support to help build our own perfect paleo protein, putting it in, and same with the bone broth. 3 of those a day, and watch your skin change. This is why we take a picture on day 1. And if you are doing all this collagen stuff, and if you are also getting into autophagy on the regular, because you're following how your hunger hormones, can you imagine what you're going to look like at the end of 30 days? That's why I encourage those pictures. It really does make a big difference. And if you've seen my beautiful skin webinar, then you've seen the pictures where I show you the before and the after, me at 53 versus me at 63. The difference on my skin's so much better at 10 years later than it was then. So anyway, when I had my friend Terry Walls, Terry, if you don't know her story, she has quite a story, and actually developed a protocol, doctor who had MS, and completely changed her whole diet. She's the one who turned me on about bone broth and the miracle of that and the whole idea of collagen and all that. And we got on, we had a Zoom call. We hadn't seen each other and talked in a long time. And we were on the phone for an hour. She said, "You look good." And I said, "So do you." And you know what? We do the same thing. We take the same bone broth, big on the bone broth, and are taking our supplements and all of that. And, she's 65, I'm 63, and we both look pretty good. We had nice skin. So that is how all of that works. I hope that was elaborative enough. Thanks, Marianne. I'm glad that worked for you. Okay, so this is from Francesca. She says, "As you have mentioned before, your approach to health weight loss has been refined over the years. I'm doing the Hot Melt 30 challenge and have committed to jump all in." Yay, Francesca. Pinkies up for Francesca, by the way. I love when somebody says, "I'm all in." That's a commitment right there. She said, "I was resurrecting some recipes from the 2016 Hot Melt Sprint 28. I don't know what that is, but I know what I think I do. Do you still recommend the 60-30-10 ratio for macros? Fat, protein, carbohydrates." Okay, no. You want to know why? Here's the thing. When I first did the Hot Melt Sprint we started in 2015 and 2000. In 2016, that's when our Hot Melt was really going crazy. And this was pre-sprint, okay? It was pre-sprint. It was just the Hot Melt way or the Hot Melt diet at that time. And in it, I had recipes for fat bombs that had a little xylitol in them and everything, and they were delicious. You want to hear something? They were delicious. And I made these fat bombs. I had the Lily's chocolate. I had the coconut in there. And I was even saying, well, just watch the sweet. And I didn't even put the xylitol in it, but I had the shredded coconut and I had the chocolate that I dipped them in. And you know that I ate a whole tray of those in one sitting? Well, one day. Snacks don't work. Snacks don't work. And this is when I started to do a deep dive into the whole snacking thing and going, why do we need fat bombs? Well, in traditional keto terms, people needed fat bombs. This is how you got into ketosis, blah, 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 blah. What I want your body to do, instead of using the fat that you eat, I want your body to use the fat that you have. That's why we hot melt sprint. We add good, delicious, healthy fat into our recipes so that you feel good. You've got the avocado, you've got the nuts, you've got all these different things in there, even eggs on occasion, right? But the point is that the ratios are just a little bit different. I do not recommend 60, 30, 10, especially for people with digestive issues. That would just be a mistake. You need digestive enzymes. You need to watch and monitor how much fat you need. My point is, I don't want to see anybody take fat out of their diet. That's a mistake. Hormones run on fat. Your brain is mostly fat. We need fat in order to feel good. You want your sex hormones working? Fat. You want your endocrine hormones working? Fat. We need them. It's fantastic. So how much do you need? I don't know. How do you feel? I want you to make sure you get your protein on point and your fiber on point. I would love to see you go from 35 to even 50 grams of fiber a day. Huh, there's a challenge for you. That'll take some doing. The fat part, you know what I don't want you to do? I don't want you to sit there and think, I'm going to make all these fat bombs and get all this stuff because I need to eat all this fat. If you can handle a fat bomb and you even want to have a little fat bomb, from these recipes with your meal, go ahead. Don't snack on them if it doesn't trip you up. For me, that was just a colossal mistake. I can't do that. Those fat bombs, literally bombs for me. They tear everything apart. So that's something that you got to look at, Francesca. You've got to look at all of that. And I say this. Don't count points, don't count calories, don't measure, don't weigh, don't pee on sticks, don't do any of this stuff anymore. Haven't we done enough math? Haven't we done enough of this? Have you noticed how much time this takes up, how much space this takes up in your head? I think this is dumb. And I have found that we do it for a minute, we're all in it, we do it for a minute, and then it's gone. How about instead, we have principles that we live by, If you were to go today to, I don't know, name a steak place. One of those steak, what is that steak place? Name a steak place. If you were to go to a steakhouse, any old steakhouse, and you walked in there and you looked at the menu and they said it's 6-ounce filet, blah, 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 blah. And it comes with twice baked potatoes. It comes with this, that, and the other thing. You could go, okay, can you just skip the potato? Give me the steak. I'll take the salad, put some vinaigrette on the side, and I'd like some asparagus. Guess Morton's. There you go. Oh, Morton's really good. Roadhouse. Yes, Longhorn. Look at you guys. But steaks, right? Steak. They tell you how many ounces are in it already. So you already know protein's on point. You've got your fiber in the form of green. You know what to do. There's no, you don't, and you can even say, and I find myself doing that, and bring me some butter on the side. And there's your fat, There you are. I would normally say to you, this is, quite often what happens is they're delicious salad dressings are made with such crappy oil, they're inflammatory. So skip the salad dressings that they have in these places, even if they're good, because usually it's crappy oil. We don't want to get inflamed anymore, do we? That's the whole point. So Francesca, this is freedom. This is what I'm offering you, is freedom, is to get off the carousel of crazy, of all the counting, of all the brain activity that goes toward watching it and being on program and all this other crap that we've been on so many times, on and off and on and off. How many of you have done Weight Watchers a few times? How many of you ordered that cardboard food from one of those places, that Marie Osmond or whatever hawks on TV? Huh? Have you done it? Have you found yourself just going, oh, this is just, and then you ditch it, and then somebody else is on TV and they're talking, oh, but this is the diet book, this diet book, oh my gosh, it changed my life. Look at me. I lost 50 pounds in just 12 weeks. This is the kind of crap. Look, I get these magazines because I want to see what's up. Look at this. Drop 100 pounds by Thanksgiving. You know what? It's all crap, and it's all part of the carousel of crazy. We've all done this. We've all tried it. How about diet pills? How about diet pills so that you are vibrating and you feel like you're about to jump out of your skin and you didn't sleep at all, right? This is what happens. And this is why I say no to all of this. This is why I say it's time to step into intuitive eating. It'll take a minute. This is why we have the hot milk sprint and say, this is what it is. And don't freak out about it. And don't, it's not like you're never going to have another glass of wine. You can have wine, but not while you're sprinting. It's not that you can't have delicious mushroom sauces and all this other kind of stuff ever again. I teach you how to be an intuitive eater, and it's a process to get you there. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't ever want anyone beating themselves up and say, oh, I ate this bad thing, or this is good and this is bad. I want you to think in terms instead of what feeds me, what fuels me, what works for me. And stop labeling food as good or bad, because the good food is all one ingredient foods. The bad food, well, I'll tell you what, I won't even call it food because it doesn't fuel you. What it does is it messes you up. You feel it in your joints, amen? You feel it when you wake up in the morning, bloated and headachy and blah. That doesn't count as food. What counts as food is the stuff. Does this work for you? That's food. That's your fuel. That's the thing that's going to get you to the place of living the vibrant life that you want to live. Isn't that what you want? I know that's what you want. I know it and that's why we do what we do. And this is going to get you there all the way. Well, that was a lecture. Sorry about that. I got to preach and just couldn't stop myself. But this is important. And I really appreciate Francesca's question. She's wanting to do it right. And what I want to do is give the power back to Francesca and say, Francesca, honey, you can do it right. Follow your body's lead. Follow it. And one of the things that Mark just said to me a couple of nights ago, so we had steaks, and I love a good steak. But I find myself to the plate, and I take digestive enzymes every time I have a steak. But I find myself 4 or 5 ounces is plenty. Last year, I was fine with 6 ounces of steak, even 7. But now I just find myself, if I eat any more, in 10 minutes, I'm going to feel Thanksgiving full. And I've got a big plate of broccoli. I got a big salad. Everything's good. I love it. It's delicious. But that's enough for me. You need to make the decision for yourself and feel and be in touch with your body. That's autonomy. That's freedom. That's living intuitively. That's having a life outside of all this diet garbage, right? So look at that. That's all I have for you today. That's plenty. I love this topic, and this is pretty much what the book is all about, is getting off this carousel of crazy and giving you back your life. You've got a lot of life to live ahead of you, and I don't want you to have any more brain space given over to all of that diet crap. Haven't you had enough? Pinkies up. I know I have. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow for Soulful Saturday, yeah? Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. You can find us on YouTube on the Saving Dinner channel or on the Saving Dinner Facebook page. Check back daily for new episodes, Monday to Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you missed the live show, you can watch the replay. Until next time, pinkies up.